And for this, we have two very eminent people who are managing medical education and giving it a new direction, Professor B N Gangadhar and Professor Vijay Oza. Professor Gangadhar will be speaking on various issues pertaining to medical education in the country, especially the regulatory aspects. Professor B N Gangadhar has been serving as earlier as director of the prestigious NIMHANS as a professor of psychiatry. He did his MBBS from Bangalore Medical College and then did his MD psychiatry from NIMHANS, and he was awarded Doctor of Science from S. Vyasa, which is a prestigious institute into yoga research at Bangalore. He has served as Honorary Dean Life Sciences at S. Vyasa Yoga University, and he is the recipient of the coveted Sir C.V. Raman Award and also many other prestigious awards. Currently, he is the chairman of National Medical Commission of India. Thank you very much, Professor Gangadhar, for joining us this morning, and he'll be speaking on various aspects of the medical education, particularly the regulatory aspects and the direction which our country is going to take as far as the medical education is concerned. Over to you, sir. Yeah.
Get the first slide. Go to that. Go back. Go to the first slide. Yeah. Can you keep it to the? Try to simply this one. Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me to this event. And we in the National Medical Commission are recent entries. We're standing on the shoulders of giants who managed the medical education for the last 70 years. Many of you are here, and we know that what we may be credited for is only a small percentage of what all others have contributed in the past. And I am reminded of Anurag Agrawal, who said, we need to know what our predecessors have contributed before we go on to boast ourselves what we are contributing or we want to contribute. I believe that humility is required, and I hope we live up to that. There are many examples of what Anuragji said, which I believe we need to follow. And one of the central visions of the National Medical Commission, and I'm sure the same must have been for the Medical Council of India also, is that that body, regulatory body, should be synonymous with quality of medical education in our country. And that is the hope and aim that we want to put the roadmap as the goal. So I'm sure we may or may not achieve that in our term. I'm sure there are more terms, more people will be contributing, but the ultimate aim is to ensure that we have the best quality of medical education with all these skills of whatever we may want to call as professional leadership, etc., and the concern. So each one of us, past and now and in the future, with this goal, we hope to be working and make sure that the National Medical Commission means quality of medical education in our country. So with this, I don't have to go on to tell you what the structure of the National Medical Commission is. Many of you might be already authors of this act or at least participated in the development of the act. So I don't have to go on to this, but for those who have joined more recently, just want to know that there are 4 boards which are autonomously functioning, executing the executive arm of the National Medical Commission. In addition to, of course, there is a planning medical advisory committee and the National Medical Commission itself with a body of 33 members who are monitoring the entire process. Again, I'm not going to the list of regulations that we have done. The ones, of course, the first 2 regulations which were made have now been replaced with some modified versions of that. There are many regulations, the UG MSR, PG MSR. The latest one is the PG MSR, about which Dr. Oza will be sharing with us. And of course, recognition of medical qualification. And what we have introduced this time is a change in the recognition of medical qualifications, regulations, and also we have introduced what we may call as the maintenance of standards of medical education regulation, which is again a new one that we have introduced. Most of other ones have been there, and a few others are in the process of further trimming, modification with some suggestions, amendments, and so on and so forth. In all the process, what guides all of us is that in the process of acquiring knowledge and skills, we believe that there are many contributors. The Sanskrit shloka says, Acharyat Padamadatte. A quarter of my learning happens from the teaching which I learn from my teachers. Padam Shishya Swamedhaya. A quarter gets by my own studying, preparing, educating myself, learning. Padam Swabhrahmacharibhya. The fellow students, maybe juniors or seniors, contribute to a quarter of what I have acquired today. Padam Kalakramenacha. A process of experience which I gain over time working with the patients. So if this idea is what has governed us, we believe the three important elements in my learning, apart from, of course, the student reading himself and readying himself, is that provision of teachers, provision of good and adequate clinical material, and I believe Dr. Oza also will agree with me, provision of fellow students, including in particular the postgraduate students who are going to be, in fact, if I can remember, in my medical education, in my medical career, when I was a student, all these things have played a role. And I believe I credit most to my patients, next to my PG teachers. Not that it is lost to the teachers, but I believe teachers have played a role, but they have many other responsibilities. But these two people actually carried me through the medical course, and I passed. And of course, I'm here what I am because of those patients and those postgraduate trainees who taught me during my medical education. So I believe this is what is guiding us, and this has concretized into some principles which we believe NMC has to work on. I believe, firstly, to see myself or from the shoes of those who started and built colleges. We heard an excellent example of Dr. Jain, who mentioned how UCMS challenges he faced. And there are, of course, many other people who are running colleges, who are the founding members of some of the colleges. And I know Dr. Nalil Mehta is here, another example. So there are many people who are there when the college is still blossoming. And you know the challenges. And to understand those, I think I need to place myself as a regulator in their shoes and look at it. And so I believe I need to have the trust in that college and vice versa. Although Dr. Farooq ji has a different viewpoint altogether, I'll come back to that a little later towards the end. I believe I have to start with the trust which they have, and of course continue to foster the trust by way of being transparent. It is so much that I need to change before I expect them to change. So I believe they all start the colleges with the good intention to make sure that the education is available, affordable, good quality, etc., etc. But after starting initially, the next steps, the next year is going to be a challenge, which is said, as we have to increase seats, we have to add PGs, the challenges come up. Initially, we all go with a gaga, with a bang, but then it's going to be a Kantaka Kirna Margam. It's a road full of thorns. So that being the case, we believe that the colleges are doing the best, both government and the medical colleges, the private, with the best intention at least. But then there are challenges, some are able to overcome thanks to the leadership which we just now heard in the previous session. But of course, some may not be as good leaders. So I think we need to handhold and take them forward. This is what I believe I need to be doing as a regulator, more than just regulating rather than being a facilitator. Facilitator's job is perhaps a better job. And the colleges, we believe, will have to declare their own what they have, the teachers, patients, etc., etc. And I believe we have to trust them. And how to trust them, as I already said. And this declaration has to be annual, because every batch new students come, every new student need to know what is this college offering. And already some progress has already happened in this direction. Not that we are saying it new. There is a website of the college is available to them. And last year, my colleague Dr. Achal Gulati introduced what is called as a sworn affidavit, which will be available on the website. Each year they have to give this sworn affidavit. We of course have made it a little more elaborate and detailed. The colleges provide this in a structured format, and this will be available to every year to the students who are coming the next year. We also, of course, went on to talk about avoiding human interface while monitoring the colleges. When they say that they have so many teachers, they have so many patients, etc., etc., we have made a beginning. We have made this Aadhaar-enabled attendance system, which now has helped in many ways. Although there are going to be some teething trouble for some people, and it's almost a year and a half, almost close to 2 years. People have all gotten used to it, and I think this is slowly getting into action. Availability of teachers, unlike what used to happen, the inspector would go sit in a lecture hall, and all the teachers would be assembled there before 10 or 11 o'clock. He has to take account of all the teachers, and they all have to sign in front of him. I thought, as a teacher, if I was in that position, I wouldn't have liked that. So I thought this dignity to the teacher has to be given. We believe that they need to have this information at any time. I can always access it. I don't have to ask this assessor to go and do this thing. Another issue which some of you who have worked in private medical colleges particularly would have been told, I have made the college has made an application for PG, increased seats, etc., etc. And now, until the inspection happens, please don't take leave. Don't go away at all. All leaves are refused, whether it is a marriage, a maternity, hospital, travel, conference, whatever it may be. We have heard this experience. Many teachers have spoken to us, sir, when are you coming for inspection? Not because we are going to tell the college, at least we will plan our holidays. So we have heard this on this experience. We thought once EBAS is there, we do not believe on the day of inspection the teachers has to be there. This is available on every day. It is available on the website. It is available to the public. The students also can watch that. And they cannot say that my teachers, colleges cannot claim that we are always being full. Every student can get this information in the public domain also, even today, right now. So we believe that information is good enough, very transparent to assess how many teachers are there and so on and so forth. Initially, we made a very, very liberal way of estimating the teachers' availability. We said, on any one day, if you have marked it once, that's good enough for me. There are many of us who are doctors, we know, we have worked late in the night, then duties, operated on emergency, morning I may be late. At the start of the working hours, I may not have put the fingerprint. So these are all concerns. I am also a doctor, not just another regulator, but I believe these concerns are there. We thought to begin with, one of those times in that working day, if you have marked, we have taken. Although this feedback will be given at some point of time, and slowly I think we have to discipline ourselves about all these issues. Second issue is 75% of the working days I'm expecting a doctor to be working. If you go strictly by numbers of EL one has to take, number of general, number of casual leaves one can avail, one would probably be working on 80% of the working days, 80% of the working days in a year. And this we put it as 75%, a little liberal estimate of the thing, because we are also expecting students, all universities expect 75% attendance. So I believe that we have put this. Nonetheless, there have been some challenges, some bickerings, some difficulties. Surely there are some exceptions. Some person just in these 2 months where you are making an assessment, this person had to go on a maternity leave, all 2 months was not there. We understand all these things, and it's not that we are very dogmatic about all these values. We, of course, on case-to-case basis, there could be some issues that we will perhaps overlook. Rating of the colleges, which is a new issue for the National Medical Commission. A third-party rating we have started with the Quality Council of India. Very shortly, the parameters of rating, the Quality Council of India will be preparing, putting it for public domain. Once all the colleges give comments, we do the discussions with the colleges, and then we'll take into account and freeze that rating process. And as you know, any rating versions keep changing year after year, NABH or in NAC or whatever it is. The versions could come up at different points of time. All results, at least from last year, we started putting it on the website. Results of the inspection, results of our decision. We made a beginning first, as detailed as possible. Speaking order was put on the website. From today onwards, this year onwards, we'll be putting more details into the website, depending upon. There are also some what we may call as Data Protection Act also has come up now. How much data we should share, how much data we should not share. This is a new issue which we need to worry about. Although I believe I was told earlier the assessors forum of the SAF was available on the website of each of the college to the public. I'm not aware, but when I came, it was not available. So nonetheless, we are all in the process of discussion. We made regulations in such a way that the final result as a detailed speaking order will be put on the website. We, of course, can go back to put more details subject to discussions with the colleges. There could be some issues they may don't want to reveal to the public. Surprise inspections, as I said, inspections of the clinical material. Right now, we have requested all the colleges to follow what is called as the ABHA ID. From the day one, I have been requesting some authentic ID need to be there with the patients. But for some reason or other, we had some difficulties. We have now given an advisory to the colleges to use the ABHA ID. 50% of our population already have got ABHA ID. ABHA gives some benefits and some insurances. And today, private insurance claims also, they are asking for the ABHA ID and so on and so forth. Once ABHA ID is given, futuristically, if all patients recorded in the hospital are with the ABHA ID, I would have the data of the clinical load of these patients straight away on my computer here. I don't have to visit a college for purposes of ascertaining the college clinical details.
Lots of weight was also there over the 4 years.
And even better, as the clinical load is increasing, I could possibly be able to advise the college. This is a futuristic one. I'll be able to advise the college, your clinical load is good enough to start perhaps super specialty or increase specialty courses, seats in some of the specialty areas and the like. So the load of clinical material will also be taken into account for purpose of rating. Most students would want to go to a college where the clinical load is heavy. So these are all the issues which are futuristic in nature. So the ABHA ID right now, about 50% of the population has it. The National Health Authority is motivating as many subjects as possible to get the ABHA ID. ABHA ID can be obtained on your cell phone with a click, providing you know your Aadhaar number, and you can straight away get the ABHA number in a fraction of a second to your cell phone, smartphone as a card itself. So I believe it is easily doable and it's possible. And with the ABHA ID, we will be able to have the authenticity. No inspector need to go to the college. However, so-called surprise inspection, there could be many other issues from time to time, case-to-case basis, or the court may order or some other issues. We have kept that not totally eliminated, but the point is, as much as possible, 99% of the situations, we would like to do it without interference with the individuals. Of course, we have the last line as a caution, although Dr. Farooq won't agree with me that sanctions and penalty, I have listed as a last priority. Hopefully, in some time to come, that line will go away from this slide when my successors will be speaking to other bodies. A quick run through, I'm not going to bore you with statistics. There are about 1 lakh, almost 9,000 seats available in undergraduate education. And this number 680373 has now become close to 70,000 postgraduate seats available across the country each year. This is the rate of growth in the last 10 years. The number of medical college seats have doubled. Certainly, all medical teachers, all doctors are now concerned. Look, quantity has increased. have you been able to double the quality or double the efforts to ensure the quality? This is a challenge I think we are going to be addressing over course of time. We have already started addressing, but nonetheless, the results will show up only after some time. Another question which I'm sure Dr. Oza, who is here, the Postgraduate Medical Education Board President, is also concerned is whether the increase of the postgraduate seats, is it commensurate with the increase of the undergraduate seats that we are doing? Year after year, as you can see, the red and the blue bar gap is slowly shrinking. This is the number of people who become eligible as the first time pass outs at the first time, because they were admitted 5 years ago, and now they have almost about the same numbers of seats that they want to get. But the backlog of about almost 1.5 lakhs remain. So that is a challenge that we need to address, which means we probably have to overshoot this than the numbers of undergraduates passing out each year. This is another serious challenge, and Dr. Oza has done wonderful work as to what are the ways in which this can be done and achieved. These are the statistics, the same graph in the table. Criteria, although it says increase in MBBS seats, I'm not going to bore you with all the minor logistics. All of you are already there when you're applied for the medical colleges. Some of you have been in the NMC, then the MCI, the BOG, etc., etc. And Dr. Nalin Mehta is aware of each of these lines by heart, so it's not an issue. I'm not going to go into the minor details. Some of the technical details, some of the procedural details are already aware. So we have put it up, and most of it is published as a guideline today. Most of the details what is available for this academic year have been published, on which applications have been called, applications have been processed. We have allowed one variation this time, that colleges with lesser number of beds can also apply for a 50-seat medical college. Nigrims already has a 50 seat. Is that right, Nalinji? So there are colleges where, particularly in northeastern states and some rural areas, the hospitals are small. Particularly government so-called district hospitals are also smaller than 300 beds, which we had earlier. To facilitate that these also can start medical colleges, we have given a smaller denomination of seats this year we can introduce. I'll be addressing this in a tabular column later on between what we had earlier and what we had now. Nalin was an author for the 2020 MSR, and Nalin, we have made some small changes which are listed here. Again, I'm not going into details of what we have done. We have kept 2-3 things in our mind. One is, of course, ease of starting the college and increasing the quality in terms of having a higher load of clinical and some amount of higher load of teaching people more in the SRs, JRs than on the faculty. And of course, other issues such as you need to have a 20-acre land, etc., etc. We have tried to change it. And the last part of it is colleges, when they start for the next 5 years, they couldn't increase the seats since there could be colleges that are starting at 50 or 100 because of want of infrastructure, faculty, etc., etc. They can apply in the very next year if they have upgraded their infrastructure and the faculty level. So this 5-year cap for not increasing the colleges, seats of the colleges, we have removed. So also in the PG, about which Dr. Ozaji will be talking about. What used to be was a stepwise increase in the infrastructure when you start the colleges, but the same quota of the medical students were admitted to begin with. We just reverse these two processes. You can increase the numbers of students stepwise as you parallelly increase the resources for the students to ensure that a given student, once admitted, for all the 5 years, we have ensured full quota of whatever the inputs that the students has to get. And so a student at admission can be considered as a recognized student who will be admitted. The college is recognized for this individual because we have legitimately admitting him through the common entrance exam, counseling, etc., etc. And he need not have the anxiety at the end of 5 years. What would happen if the resources don't increase? My college will be de-recognized. So this concern is not there, although we would say that he is deemed recognized, but this on record the college would still be not be shown as a recognized college. So I'm sure Dr. Oza will be elaborating on this issue of recognized medical qualification. We say we earlier were calling recognition of the colleges a little differently. This year we have made a change. And of course, some sharing of the laboratories which are going to be helpful, biometric attendance system for the faculty, and also we are over course of time facilitating even the students to have the biometric attendance system. At least the attendance is recorded, available. There is no issue that is going to happen. Assessment, as I said, we are focusing and emphasizing on self-appraisal and self-assessment more than our inspector being going there. And of course, we have a remote way of validating whatever the colleges claim that they have. These also have been introduced. Some changes in curriculum which have been introduced, minor though, and some changes in the exam pattern. One of the common questions that are asked is this pass 50% versus aggregate. For example, in a subject like anatomy, there are 2 theory papers and 1 clinical or 1 practical paper, 100 each. Aggregate, they have to get 150%, but in all the 3, they should get at least 40%. So this has been said. Some of the issues which there are some concerns about examiners, about which I'm sure the UG board is going to be working on. Some advisories would come up over the course of time. So this is a graph which just to reassure those who are starting the colleges, although there is a general year that the faculty have increased, but in the first 3 phases of faculty positions, 50 seats, 100 seats, 150 seats, we have ensured that the faculty is actually not increased. Only when somebody has gone up beyond that, we need to have more faculty than the earlier denominations that were prescribing them. But some compensation with respect to training, availability of hand-holding and teachers has been given. A little higher numbers of senior residents, demonstrators, and the tutors which have been made effective from this year. Those who are applying and getting colleges for this purpose. So this is something that people are finding it a little difficult. I'm sure over course of time, thanks to Dr. Jain's initiative, who said they could get these people if you actively search for and make sure motivate the governments, motivate your college regulators to give you those things. A small description of what are the bed distributions which are here. Again, the statistic is not so important. All this have already been published, available on the website. But what is important is, again, let me say that these are some things that were already available. These were prepared by the then BOG, and some were already available in the MCI. Some tweaking have been made in the whole process. And during the COVID time, thanks to the date on which we started, the COVID started there. We were in the peak of the COVID when the NMC started. Maybe another year or so, we had the challenges. Many colleges were not able to put in all the things, and even these could not be fully rolled out. And over course of time, they have been mandated. As you all know, the competence-based medical education is a game changer, which earlier MCI and the BOG had initiated. It has been standardized and now been made mandatory. Although this is taxing to the teachers. This has been taxing to the teachers. We are aware of that. That is the reason we have deliberately increased faculty and the SR tutors a little bit to make sure that this competency-based early clinical exposure, the so-called vertical integration, the ATCOM module, again, it is a game changer thanks to the then BOG, which introduced this, and many components of this. All of us have been saying that we should introduce this, but a structured way it has been introduced. This is something that is remarkable, and of course, facilitating and promoting, stimulating, triggering research interest in medical students is something that we have all been felt, and this has been initiated. A research unit has been expected to be, although more and more as we keep growing, each college will have its own way of enriching that and getting it better. But the idea has been triggered by the National Medical Commission. And of course, many of this medical education is not something new, and it's all going on for a long time. What we did was added a few modifications in these courses of particularly putting mentor-mentee program, each teacher to mentor 5 students, and the next 5 students come in the second year and the third year. So the seniors are with the juniors as a batch of siblings under the one mentor. Ragging agenda would also perhaps get better. Not going to happen. In the family village adoption program, more of which have already been mentioned. This will facilitate a person to actually see what the community will be when he goes back, and he or she will also get this talent of communicating about the communication skills also expected to get better. Like I said, the teachers training, teachers faculty development program is something that has already been going on, fine-tuned, made it better. More centers have come now, more teachers have been trained, and of course during the COVID time, many of these couldn't be really pushed through. Now it has been taking up, and some of the colleges may be taxed because of this agenda. Hopefully we will ensure that more centers are made available and more people will be trained. Together, the World Federation of Medical Education, thanks to Dr. Sharma, who got this into the NMC, and NMC is now recognized for 10 years. They came 2 times, visited National Medical Commission, and they went through all the programs that were going on and the way we are starting monitoring, etc., etc. They were highly appreciative of this faculty development program. Of course, credit goes to the erstwhile NCI, which we had rolled out later on. I mean, we had renewed it after the COVID had stopped. And of course, the family adoption program, both of which they found it very helpful. Like I said, some of the changes which have been introduced, the maximum seats in UG, we have capped it at 150. One of the example was the best education is possible when the numbers are small. This is a learning experience from all the aims where the cap has been at 150. And no wonder they are the best institutions. Of course, they are best institutions for several other reasons. Apart from that, one of them is numbers of, and I believe this is a learning lesson for all of us. Smaller, the better. So 150 and could be a most optimum number beyond which we are going, won't be making it difficult. Assessment, I have already said, self-assessment, declaration, annual submission of self-appraisals. These are the things that HMIS, ABHA ID in the HMIS, and so on and so forth. Some of the slides may be repeated, apologies. Rating, I have already mentioned. What is more important is this year the National Medical Commission has introduced, not this year, the National Medical Commission in its act has introduced the exit exam to be standardized across the country. We know that there are a lot of variations in the standards of the colleges that could be teaching, but the product should be standardized. And many colleges with even low resources could be teaching very well, but we will go and rate them poorer. But the outcome would be actually better in some such colleges. Theoretically possible. So the outcome measurement, the product quality testing is a game changer in the medical education design that the National Medical Commission Act has brought in. Although we have made an attempt, Dr. Sharma put in a lot of efforts to get the thing rolled out. For various logistic reasons, it couldn't be rolled out perhaps this year or the next year. At this point of time, I won't be able to give a verdict on this issue when NMC was going to start this examination. A committee headed by the DGHS has been set up by the government to look into how to roll it out, the logistics, etc., etc., and that will be discussed in the National Medical Commission, and we will soonly be doing it. Transparency, we have tried our best to make this as transparent as possible. All the procedures for forming, leading to regulations and guidelines, discussions with the colleges have been held, discussions with the DMEs, discussions with vice chancellors of the health universities, particularly state health universities, have had on a video conference. Close to about 400 different video conferences have happened across many of them. All these experience has been pulled into developing these regulations, which are in public domain. Many comments have come, comments have been taken into account, and then finally the issue has been circulated among the National Medical Commission members, and then it goes into the public. A lot of exercise has happened. The whole SOP has now been actually made available, and it could well be on the website at this point of time. And of course, we must say that thanks to Dr. Sureshchandra Sharma's initiative as a leader to begin with. He ensured that the World Federation of Medical Education accredited National Medical Commission for a period of 10 years when the very first time when we applied. Most places, the WFME would give 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, they would come back for a repeat and so on and so forth. Thanks to Dr. Sharma's leadership, we found that this could go on without any difficulty, and they inspected. Although, of course, there were some compliances questions that they raised when they came the first time. Thanks to again the team and the leadership of Sharma, we were able to overcome many of these things, and we straight away got an accreditation for 10 years. And of course, the do's and don'ts of this accreditation is something that you're already aware. Recognition for this assessment, there was a software that was available. Fine-tune that software, and the software has been improvised. And assessors, if they are sent, right now, as I said, assessor sending is going to be minimized over time. But nonetheless, we had made an effort to ensure that the software has been refined and made it even better to be able to take large number of inspections that we had to do. Last year, we did as many as about 5,000 inspections by close to about 10,000 inspectors going to different colleges. So this is a huge exercise that we did last time. And of course, affordable medical education is some target that the government has given to us. We did some initiative. Now it is under litigation. Until it comes out, it's going to be a little challenging. Government, of course, has prompted itself to increase more government colleges. The ratio which was reversed, more private versus less government, has now changed, reversed into more government and less private medical colleges at this point of time. Hopefully, government colleges being subsidized, fees will be lower and affordability can get better. And as I said, we have made 3 departments less, which I'm sure the colleges will accept. It's going to be a less burden in terms of running the colleges. And we have also reduced the cap on the large land that they need to have in urban areas. And of course, the smaller hospitals also can start medical colleges, which probably require less infrastructure, and hopefully the education can get better. PG issues, because I also represent the assessment and rating board who call the applications. Some issues have been there. PG applications have come, and we believe for the first time we're going to try it out at YBHAS alone, because all PG applications will be from the colleges which are already running for 5 years, and then they have applied. We believe that they are doing a very good job already. Otherwise, colleges undergraduate course running is even more challenging than running a PG courses. So they are doing a good job. And so whether we can depend on this YBHAS attendance for purpose of monitoring the teachers' availability and their self-declaration, whether we can use to help declaring the numbers of seats that are available. We are seriously contemplating on this modus operandi for this academic year. Any moment we may be rolling out the whole process. There were some issues. That is the reason why it got held up, and this year's assessment or decision making has gotten delayed for a few months. And of course, this is something that Dr. Oza told me that these numbers are not correct. I apologize. There are some better numbers which he has got in his thing. He's going to be talking about it in terms of how many more postgraduate courses that could be started, subjects that could be started in terms of. So I stop here. More to come as a complement to entire medical education from Dr. Oza. Maybe we'll take up jointly the questions towards the end when all the people have presented from the NMC. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Gangadharan. It was a nice, very nice brief, comprehensive of the description of the National Medical Council. It's a big organization, one of the oldest organizations, regulatory body in the country on medical education. One thing is there, just in the leadership program, the inclusion of the medical education particularly is very important. Because in the competency-based curriculum, now what is happening? A doctor must be a leader. The doctor must be a leader. So it is better for us to be in the leadership. And what are the characteristics? The earlier discussion was on what? Institution organization. Now this NMC Now, this life cycle of NMC, it is in the mature stage now. Not infancy, not adolescent, it's in adulthood. And there are milestones. I tell you one thing, I know NMC from 1962, when I was first appointed the teacher. At that time, what we have to have, the guidelines, cyclostyle papers, not for the whole medical college, only for the department itself. And what are there? Only syllabus, what are the topics to be spoken? There is nothing like that. This is required, that is required. Nothing was left. What is the second milestone? This is the evolution of any organization, in the medical college or NMC or whatever the case may be. Second was what, 1997. All those regulations which are coming out, it was started in 1997 by the Medical Council of India. It was, if you just see, you'll see now, amended up to this one. Original was 1997. So that's what. Now 2009, competency-based curriculum. Now this is the revolutionary thing. This is a revolutionary thing. You see, they have given so much, but not only the curriculum itself, what are the competence to be given? They have taken about 10 years' time to find out what are the competence to be there for an undergraduate and the postgraduates also. Still, it is in the fluid stage. Not only that, the other important thing is that how it is to be implemented in the undergraduate. So only thing is that they have given only one aspect, AdCom. He has said, probably all the medical college knows what is AdCom. So the second thing is that what the advanced course of medical education. Now this is the difficulty with us. How many of our medical colleges, even AIMS and other things, they have their own competency-based curriculum, not based on the NMC. Based on NMC. What do? We copy it, and this is our medical college. Change the name. So that is it. So that is the thing. I think this is to be taken up by the NMC itself. And they're giving us the SCME and other things are there so that we make our, and why the teachers have been expressing the difficulty. Because unless and until we have a cookbook, the recipes are there. The cookbook we have to produce. The family has to produce, the institution has to produce. The leaders will have to produce it. The teachers will have to produce it. Once it is done, you can give the things to the different departments. And what they said, amalgamation, integration, the package. So these are the things, we must, it's a new revolution. It will take some time to adjust ourselves to this. I think, there are lots of other issues, which are there. It may be in your mind because you have also undergone the experiences of NMC and both those with government medical colleges and the private medical colleges. You have your own opinions. If you have any queries, I think, he's there. It's open now for discussion.